Hello guys, and welcome back to a new episode. So today I'm going to talk about one misconception about gear reviews on the internet that you need to be mindful of. So without wasting much time, let's get into today's video. So when it comes to gear reviews, there are so many gear reviews on the internet. There are always gear reviews on the internet. Everybody's talking about the next camera, the next audio equipment, the next slider, the next tripod stand, the next whatsoever. I've come to realize one misconception about these reviews that I think for your sanity or for your best interest, I think it is important and it's very necessary that you stay away from. That is, when it comes to reviewing equipment, you normally hear this statement: no camera or no tripod stand or no microphone can be perfect. So what is wrong about this equipment? Then you hear them give their opinions on what they think is wrong about this camera or is right about this camera or is interesting about this camera and whatsoever. Now, I am not saying these elements in reviews are not good. Let's take, for instance, we pick a camera like the Nikon VR that was recently released. One of the problems about that camera is the micro HDMI cable. The way they make these things sound is like that camera is so good that because it has a micro HDMI, you can't use the camera. You understand? Be mindful that people used to shoot movies on the 5D Mark II back in the day. People considered the 5D Mark II back in the day as a revolutionary camera. People were shooting movies on that particular camera. What should make these new cameras impossible for you to use them to shoot a movie? Let's say, for instance, you want to get the Canon R50V and probably you want to shoot a movie on the Canon R50V. Then you go and watch a Canon R50V review and you start seeing stuff like the battery life is poor. The manufacturers of that particular camera didn't make that camera for somebody who wants to shoot open gate and raw and all those things. Those cameras were made for content creators. Now, the good thing about that is that that camera has so much value and has so much features that you can use to shoot a movie. Now, somebody might be there and having the budget to buy a Canon R50V. Then the person goes to hear certain elements. Oh, it doesn't have a big HDMI. It doesn't have anamorphic discretes in it and all that. You understand? Then you'll be like, I don't think this camera is for me. I don't think this camera is for me. Let me wait till I get something like the Canon C50, or let me wait till I get something like the Canon C80, or let me wait till I get something like the FX3. Whilst you know it is impossible at that point in time to be able to get a camera like the FX3. You understand my point? So now, because you saw that particular review and you saw the drawbacks, because it's like every time there's a review, they are looking for something to say bad about that particular camera. You see, which in my opinion, I think is hurting people's choices of selecting cameras. Because if a small camera has a small HDMI port, what is the problem with that? It's because that particular camera was made for people that can afford that particular camera. You understand? If you want a big HDMI port, go in for the high-end ones. The $4,000 ones, the $8,000 ones, the $6,000 ones. Go in for that. If you want to shoot on those nice and have all those good features like shooting in RAW and open gate, that is why the company has a high-end ones. These ones were made for the mid-range people. I like reviews that are very genuine. If a camera is like $650, make your reviews based on the $650 camera. Compare it to other cameras that have that same price range. If you check all those cameras that have that same price range and none of them has a big HDMI port, then that means that particular camera with a small HDMI port isn't a problem. Then you see people saying that I wish Canon had put a big HDMI on this particular camera. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't appreciate a camera at that size having a big HDMI. Who doesn't love a big HDMI? Everybody loves a big HDMI because it makes working with them simple. But I don't like the fact that some of these reviews or some of these drawbacks make it seem as if the camera is the worst thing ever on earth. Let me give you a typical example. When the Canon R5C came out, people bashed that camera. People bashed that camera so much that when you go on the internet right now and you want to buy a Canon R5C, what you are going to see, you will be interested to buy that camera. But in today's market, that camera is a very good camera. Even though I hate one thing about it, having a small HDMI, which I think a good cinema camera, especially when Canon slaps the C on their cameras, it means it's a cinema camera. It's not like what I'm shooting with right now, which is a photo first and a video later camera. But when the moment you slap something like a C on the camera, it means it has to have all the good cinema features. So when people were bashing that camera for having a small HDMI port, I was excited. I was okay with that. But when you start bashing cameras that are very small and are meant for content creators and the rest, and you want them to have all the good cinema features, then what are you trying to say? Now, why am I ranting in this video? I'm not ranting in this video because I just want to rant around. But my point is that don't make decisions based on some of these drawbacks. If you have the budget to get something like a Sony ZV-E1, or if you have the budget to get something like a Sony ZV-E10 Mark I or the Mark II, or the Canon R50V, or something like the Canon R7, look at the drawbacks. Sit down with yourself and ask yourself, can I still work even with these drawbacks? I'm not going to say go and get a camera, especially like a drawback like the Canon R6 and the Canon R5s, which were overheating here and there. I'll prefer not to be able to shoot in that higher resolutions when my camera can overheat. I'll prefer to have something lower, which I know I'm not going to deal with anything like overheating, because that thing stresses you. That thing stresses you. So when it comes to stuff like that, I understand. I understand when it comes to stuff like that. But when people are trying to find something, are trying to find something to say about a camera in a specific level or a specific category, and they are trying to find a drawback on that camera, and they then go into a high-end tier camera to pick a category that high-end tier camera has, and trying to use that as a drawback for a low-tier camera, then what is the point? What is the point? I hate seeing videos like that. The moment I see videos like that and I watch, I'm like, no. This camera was made for these people. This camera was made for these people. Look at the camera. Look at its drawbacks. Every camera has a drawback. Every camera has a good feature. If you look and you see that the good aspects or the pros of that camera can do what you want, go in for that camera. A little bit of advice to you is that right now, the camera that I'm shooting this video on, nobody knows the camera until I tell you the camera I'm shooting this video on. The camera or the equipment that you use doesn't matter. What matters is what appears on your screen at the end of the day. If you are getting a good image at the end of the day on your screens, people are going to judge you per what they see on their screens, and not what you use in shooting what they see on their screens. If the video looks good and it meets the standards that they are looking for, then they are going to be happy. It's not about the camera. It's not about the light. It's not about the lens that you use in shooting the video. What matters is what ends up on your screen at the end of the day. Be very mindful of this. Keep this at the back of your mind, that the most important thing is the deliverables you are delivering at the end of the day. The video that is going to come out at the end of the day is what is important. So guys, that will be all for today. This video is some way, somehow, but take it like that. and hope to see you in my next video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'm out.